Hi everyone, John Swift here. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about this, first of all, this bank. I don't know why I said bank. They call it the Orange Blossom Tower now. But it's this building, which is on Palm and Main, which is an old building. And there's two reasons I wanted to talk about it, because number one, it's pretty cool. It says it was built in 1926. Anything I think that is historic is kind of cool. The other thing is I actually worked on this building when they were trying to retrofit it for fire alarms. Somebody's running power tools. Somebody's running power tools way up there somewhere. Anyway, here's another side of the, I guess this is the residential area. Because I think the bottom floor is like a not a museum, a fine art place, and then there's the tower part, which I guess looks like they have a lot of businesses here. But anyway, at the time I worked in this building, there was actually somebody going in right there. As usual, I haven't really researched that, but in I think it was 1986, 1987, I actually worked on this building. Here's a wider shot of the building here. This building, as part of an electric company, putting in fire alarms, and at that time, I believe it was like an apartment building for older seniors, like, you know, they have those 55 and over type places. At that time, I think it was. And it sort of has been completely redone, I think, at some point, and it looks like they have a lot of businesses there. I'm not sure how much residential they have left. Can't really tell by looking at it, but looks like it's about 10 stories. Something like that. So it's interesting that I actually worked in that building, and what I remember is I didn't like working there. It was old and dusty. We used to have to push up the ceiling tiles, you know, that drop ceiling tiles. You ever heard a really loud truck before? I feel like it totally drains out what I'm trying to say, and I can't talk while there's a very loud diesel engines going by. Anyway, back to working on the building. I was working on fire alarms, and I remember being on like a 10-foot ladder, an 8-foot ladder, and having to feed wire through the ceiling for alarm systems, you know, like pull stations and all that fire alarm stuff. And I was standing on like the top of an 8-foot ladder, and somehow I lost my balance and I completely fell off the ladder forward, and I grabbed out for the ceiling with my hands, and I ripped down a couple sections of ceiling, and I'm not sure how I fell. I probably fell on my feet, but I was like totally, you know how when you fall, sometimes you lose your balance. You're totally unprepared, so you're like not thinking about how you're gonna fall. It was one of those moments where I was so confident in my ladder skills that I never I don't think I've ever fallen off of a ladder before. So I land on the ground and I kind of like pick myself up, and I was okay, but I might have hurt my ankle or something. This was in the days where OSHA wasn't so prominent. There wasn't a lot of OSHA. Right now in construction, if you work in construction, OSHA is all over it with, you need those harnesses. If you're gonna work 6 feet off the ground, you need a harness with a safety cord, and you have to have a hard hat. Here's the dumbest thing. You know, I didn't mean to talk about this, but while we're on the subject, those hard hats, they're made out of some kind of plastic. They may be able to, you know, sustain an impact injury, but when you're falling, those things do not stay on your head. It would be silly, but you almost need like a chin strap on hard hats. Have you ever worn a hard hat and you just leaned over and the thing fell off your head? That's what I'm talking about. I don't know. I'm totally getting off track. Okay, so I just started walking downtown. And I was thinking about, besides the Orange Blossom Hotel, which just happened to come up, was a thing that I have an issue with is crossing the street as a pedestrian, you know, walking. And I find that a lot of times when I am walking somewhere, when I'm crossing the street, cars will, like if you're in the middle of an intersection, and it's not necessarily a busy intersection, but just a little intersection, cars will kind of come up right up to you, right up to your body, and then stop. Like you're causing inconvenience for them. Like as opposed to just, like if you were coming to the stop where there would be the white line, you'd stop right where the right line is. And if there's somebody, like if there was another car there, you would stop at the white line. You wouldn't drive right up to the next car and then wait for them to come across and then keep going. You would stop at the white line because there's a car there. Just like, well, in my mind, it's just like people. If you're a person and you're crossing the street, somebody pulls up to a white line and they keep going out to like right where you are. I guess it really bugs me, that kind of thing. And maybe I'm just saying, if you watch this video, think about that when you're driving. If you see somebody crossing the street, and say maybe if you're crossing and the person's on the right side crossing, but you're coming straight and you want to turn right, do you like turn halfway and wait for them? I try not to do that, and maybe I'm hypocritical. It's possible that when I'm driving a car or whatever, my motorcycle, that I may have the same thing. And as far as I know, I'm not a a law expert in Sarasota, but as far as I know, it's always been told to me that pedestrians have the right of way, which doesn't mean you can just cross anywhere you want, because that's probably called jaywalking. But what I'm saying is, like, say you're crossing an intersection where there is a crosswalk, but not necessarily, it doesn't have a crosswalk light, those pedestrian light things that you push the button. So it doesn't have that. Excuse me. So you're crossing, and of course a car, drives at 50 miles an hour, and you're walking, and you walk at like 2 miles an hour. The car, you may be, what am I trying to say? You may be crossing and a car will come up very quickly, and then you won't have time, unless you run across the street, you don't have time to get out of the way. So I guess my point is, do you think it's wrong to cross the street in front of a car and then expect the car to slow down for you? Of course they have to slow down for you, because otherwise they're going to hit you. But I guess in my way of thinking, people should slow down. And here's another thing I should mention. I think people should slow down for you. If they see you, a car can see you, 200-300 feet ahead of them. They should start slowing down, anticipating that you're not going to be able to cross fast enough, especially if you're an older person, you don't walk fast. Me, I could run out of the way or run across the street. Okay, so here's my other thought. Part 2 of the thought. I traveled to Denmark in 2000 or so. The cars and traffic and everything there is totally different from the way it is here. In that, when I was walking in Copenhagen, which is, I guess, the capital of Denmark as far as I remember. We would walk in the street, and more loud trucks. Losing my train of thought. If we would cross in the middle of a busy road with other people that live there, the drivers would just stop in the middle of the road. And I'll show you an example, okay? So if we're on Bayshore, I think, up here. And I like saying, if you were on Bayshore and there was quite a number of cars right here, right? And if I just walked out, there's nobody coming. But if I walked out here, the cars would just stop courteously without, giving you mean glares, is what I'm trying to say. They wouldn't give you that look like you're in my way. They would just stop, and when all the people had crossed, they would just go, and there was no animosity toward the people. And I asked a couple people, is that the law here where you can just cross wherever you like? Because here, it's basically you cross where the crosswalks are, or you're going to get mowed down. You're going to get ran over. And I've been to a couple big cities in America too, and I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure a lot of places you'll just get ran over. People will just they feel that you're invading their space, whereas we both have our own space, is the way I feel, is So, as complicated as I put that, I was trying to make it somewhat simple. And I'm trying to ask the question is that, do you feel that if you walk in the street, people should just courteously slow down in a perfect world, I guess, and not have like an attitude, not feel like, oh, they're holding me up. Like you should just see somebody crossing. I remember times when I was in a hurry to go somewhere and there's somebody crossing the street when I had the green light, and I think I remember being kind of angry. It's like, why is this person crossing? Why don't they cross where the, when it says the crosswalk light is on? Why aren't they waiting to cross there? Like, are they just stupid? Or so there's both sides of the coin. It depends if you're walking or if you're driving. If I'm walking, I feel like the world should stop. I should be able to walk across the street. There shouldn't be any hard feelings, and we all each go our separate ways. So why don't we all comment and weigh in on this and see how what your thoughts are. Let me know. It's one thing I'm always walking, so it's one thing that's always on my mind. So just weigh in on that. Where do you feel that people should only cross at the crosswalks when the light says you can cross, or should we have a more liberal thing where you could just not just jump out into traffic, but you should be able to cross anywhere, and cars should just say, hey, the guy's crossing the street, I'm going to slow down. I'm not, it's not life or death. So let me know. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for putting your 2 cents in. We'll see you. Have a great day.